You'll remember, boys and girls, that Jacob is on the run. He's running away from home. His brother wants to kill him. And his father has given him Abraham's blessing. He said, in you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. Abraham knows a Savior is coming, a Messiah. And we know who that is. They didn't know his name would be Jesus, but we do. Jesus is going to come from Jacob's line. So now he's on the run. And remember that he had here's the Jordan River. He had this dream. He laid down in this place. Remember, he had that dream with that ladder going up to heaven. And God said, I'm going to give you this land. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to take you back to here too. Now, Jacob said, if God does all those things, if he gives me food and clothing, so I come back safe, then God will be my God. Jacob's not always so nice, but God is faithful. Well, here comes Jacob. He doesn't know exactly where his relatives are living. He comes to a place, and there's out in the field, and he sees a well of water, and there's 3 flocks. They're just standing there. And so he goes to the people, and they say, do you know, are you from Haran? And they say, yes, we are. And he said, do you know Laban? Remember Laban, boys and girls. What Laban was his mother's brother. Do you know Laban? We know him. They say, we know him. Is he well? Yes, he's well. Oh, and look, over there, his daughter, Rachel, she's coming. She's a shepherdess, and she's coming to water her flocks. Well, said Jacob, why don't you just roll about this? It's high noon. It's not time for you to go already. You should just roll the stone away and water all the flocks. They said, we can't. We wait till all the sheep are here, and then we roll the stone away, and then we water all the flocks. Well, by that time, Rachel had come. And when Jacob saw his cousin Rachel, he pushed that stone away, and he watered all her sheep. And then he said to her, he started to cry, he said, and he kissed her. He said, I am one of your kinsmen. I am the son of Isaac. So she ran and told her father. Her father's name was, this is Rachel. Her father's name was Laban. And she said, Father, and she told him. And so he went running out, and he gave Jacob a hug, and he kissed him, and he said, come in, come in. So Jacob had found, by God's grace, he found the right place. So he stayed there, and in the morning time, he went out with Laban, and he went to the flocks, and he helped him do the work. And the next day he did it again. He helped Laban do all the work. And after 1 month, Laban said, you know what? You don't have to work for nothing. I should pay you. What do you want me to pay you? Well, Laban had 2 daughters. Their names were Leah. Leah was the oldest. And their names were Leah and Rachel. Leah had kind of weak eyes. She was a nice girl, but she was not so beautiful. But Rachel was very beautiful. And Jacob loved Rachel. He said, I will work for 7 years if you give Rachel as my wife. And in those days, the men would give some money because the fathers wouldn't have that girl to help them anymore. And Laban said, well, you're a bone of my bone. Who else would be better than to give her to you? So every day Jacob worked for 7 whole years. He could hardly wait till he could marry Rachel. And finally, 1 year was finished, 2 years, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And he said to Laban, I finished my 7 years of working for Rachel. Please let me have her as a wife. Well, Laban got a big feast, a big night-ready feast, and all the men of the place were there, and they were having a great party. And then Laban brought, no, not Rachel. He brought Leah. He put a veil over it, so Jacob couldn't even tell that it was not Rachel. And so in the morning, when they both woke up, Jacob looked, and it was Leah. It was not Rachel. And he went to Laban, and he said, you tricked me. I worked for 7 years for Rachel, not for Leah. Oh, No, said Laban, that's just not the custom. And where we live, you don't have the younger girl marry first. It's always the older girl that marries first. That's why I did it. But he said, you know what? In 1 week, you can just have 1 week for Leah, and then you can marry Rachel too, and then you can work another 7 years for Rachel. So that's what happened. He also Laban said to Leah, you can have this girl to help you. So Zilpah came with Leah. And then after 1 week, he married Rachel too. So now he had 2 wives. And Rachel, she had a girl to help her. Her name was Bilhah. I'm not sure if I'm spelling that right. Well, Jacob chose Rachel, but God saw that Leah was not really loved by her husband. And God opened Leah's womb. And Leah was having a baby. And when she had the baby, she said, behold, a son. And so she called him Reuben. She said, now my husband's going to love me because I've had a son. And a little while later, she had a second boy. And she said, and his name was Simeon. She said, God hears how my husband doesn't really love me. So he's given me another son. She called him Simeon. And then she had another son, and she called him Levi. Levi means attached. Now my husband will be attached to me because I have borne him 3 sons. And then she had another one, and his name was Judah. And she said, now I will praise the Lord. That's what she said. We're going to find out that Jesus comes through Judah's line. Well, Rachel said to me, give me children, she said to Jacob, or I die. Who do you think I am, said Jacob. Do you think I'm God? It's God who closed your womb. Well, I have an idea, said Rachel. Boys and girls, do you remember how Sarah said you could have my maid Hagar? She said, you can marry Bilhah too. And then Bilhah's children it'll be like they're mine. So then Bilhah had a son. And then Rachel called him the name. She said, I forget what Dan means. Ooh. It means something like vindicated. The Lord has vindicated me. See, I have a baby too. It's not my own, it's from Bilhah, but it's kind of like mine too. And then Bilhah had another one. She said, people are going to call me, Naphtali. It's Naphtali. People are going to, see, I've struggled with my sister, but I've got babies too. So she called it Naphtali. Well, Leah said, I can do that too. Here, Jacob, you can have my maid as another wife. You can have her. And then her babies will be like my babies. So then she had a baby, and she called his name Gad. It means a troop comes. And then she had another baby. She called him Asher. Asher, because Leah says, everybody's going to say how happy I am. Because Asher means happy. And then, one day, Reuben was out in the fields, and he found this special kind of plant. The plant is called mandrakes. And those people thought, if you eat those, you will have lots of babies. So Reuben brought them in. And when Rachel saw them, she said, can I have those? Can I have them? She said to Leah. You already took my husband away, and now you want to take them away too? Okay, said Rachel. Well, if you give them to me, you can spend some more time with Jacob. See how there was all this kind of not very nice feeling, jealousy between the two? Well, then Leah had another baby, and she called him, Issachar. Because Issachar means wages. The Lord has given me my wages. And the last one, she had one more called Zebulon, which means everyone's going to honor me. And then she had a girl whose name was Dinah. Look at that. And then the Lord did open Rachel's womb. He heard Rachel's cry, and he gave her a son, and his name was Joseph. Joseph means he will add another son. She wanted one more. Well, when Joseph was born, Jacob said to Laban, I want to go back. I want to go back to my father. I want to go back home. Oh, said Laban. Oh, I found out that when you're working for me, everything goes so well. Can you stay? Can you stay? It's true, said Jacob. God has blessed me. Everything that I've done, God has blessed. You just had a few sheep and now you have tons. You just had a few goats and now you have lots. Well, tell me, said Laban, tell me, what do you want? Well, said Jacob, I think what we'll do is all the sheep that have spots and speckles and all the brown lambs, there weren't too many of those. I'm going to put them separate and then they'll be mine. And all the rest will be yours. And that way you can tell if I've cheated you. Because if you look at my flocks and you see any ones that are not spotted or speckled, you'll know I took them. That way I'll show you how honest I am. Okay, said Laban. And then right away he said to his sons, okay, quickly, take all the ones that are speckled and spotted and brown, take them and go way far away so that Jacob doesn't get those. So not only is Jacob a tricker, but so is Laban. Now Jacob's getting the tricks on himself. But Jacob has this trick, and I don't understand how he takes these branches, and he kind of takes the bark off the branches, and there's almond branches, and then when the sheep come to the troughs to have to mate and to have their drink, then he looks and he thinks, ooh, that's a nice strong one. And he puts those branches in front, and then they have spots and speckles. I do not know how that works, but God blessed it, even though it was kind of a trick. And all the strong animals had spots and speckles. So Jacob became very rich. He had flocks and herds. He had servants and camels and donkeys. And that's the end of that long story.